Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Queen's Wish. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're supposed to join me today in the Mist Maze as we deal with the Ukatish. You walk into an Ukatish feasting hall populated by ghosts. They wander around, enjoying an eternal celebration. Though they sing, no sound emerges. A lone figure stands behind the north table, quietly watching over the proceedings. It looks like the ghost of a shaman, though the armor and jewelry of the spectral form are so archaic that you can't be sure. She waves you forward, which is funny, just funny. She waves you forward, and as she does, you begin to shudder again. Yeah, we've been shuddering for a little while. Also, ghosts are not necessarily eternal. We don't know if they are eternal. Our character thinks they're eternal because of why? Why would that be? Actually, even I'm even the notion of eternity is deeply entwined with the religion of a setting. Well, actually, it doesn't have to be the religion of a setting in a fantasy setting, obviously, but certainly with the philosophy of a setting. And it certainly is in real life that the notion that these would be eternal probably comes from the background of whoever wrote this, maybe teaching that there is such a thing as eternity, for whatever reason, maybe for religion or maybe not, because of reasons. When you face this specter, you feel faint. She radiates power and age. When she radiates age, that's good. It's good. When you are near her, you feel painfully old. That makes sense because she's radiating age. Centuries of Ukatish history and anger weigh on you. Shouldn't I feel young? Because anyway, she stares at you. She shows no emotion, says no words, takes you in, adds you to the story of the Ukat that she keeps. I'm gonna stare. No, instead of staring, why would I stare? Let's just ask, who are you? And she's silent. She just stares as well. You are not. She's not silent. She doesn't just stare. She does stare, but she also says, "You are not just a visitor. You are a tyrant. You have a use for the Ukatish." Yes, I am a tyrant. Like, what are you? I am the memory. I am the anger. I am the stories of the Ukat. You have come to assault us. You are not a friend. You are a farmer, and we are the crop. This will be remembered. We have not decided what we will do here, which doesn't make us not a tyrant. But also, she probably is talking about where I'm from, and also the fact that the place that I'm from has a past of being tyrannical, and is tyrannical. So, and there's many reasons why this doesn't matter, but I'm just gonna try to divert the attention of this eternal ghost away from whatever she's saying, and say, we have not decided what we will do here. But you think it is your decision, is what I was saying. Thank you. Not ours. I see it. So do the Ukatish. You will do what you do. I will keep the story. I will remember the rage. Actually, it isn't as good of an argument as I thought it was going to be, actually. I have a gift for you, she says. I will share our song. And before I say anything, and oof, that sound of bugs in the background. The reason why this isn't as good of an argument is that the decision of what I will do here is being mine is not indicative of me being a tyrant. My capability of doing things over the Ukatish is indicative of me being a tyrant. So, like, to put it simply, if you're a tyrant in a foreign land, and you have to decide whether you're going to take over the land or you're not going to take over the land. Well, I said at the beginning that you were a tyrant in foreign land, but still, the point is, you're deciding that, yes, you're a tyrant, because their fate is in your hands. I suppose tyrant here, in this context of the of the conversation, mind you. There's limitations to the usage of this word, but we're not going to get into that. It doesn't matter. However, if you're a tourist in a foreign land and you decide whether to have a sandwich for breakfast or not or something, then you're also making a decision on what you will do here. But you're not a tyrant. The power is what makes you a tyrant, not the entitlement or not what you think of yourself. It's the power. It's always the power. That's just how it goes at the end of the day. But anyway, I could use your help. You're going to kill me. Oh, I'll share our song, and I can say I don't really care for music, which is interesting. Song and music do go hand in hand, but not historically. Or, I mean, yes, historically for sure, but not always historically. Song, actually, wait a minute. That's interesting. That's interesting. They probably do, but you will see historical records of songs without music. And the reason for that is because the lyrics, in some cultures, not every culture, but in some cultures and at some points, the lyrics are really what matters the most. And you'll see that as well in folklore music and stuff like that, rather than folk. I say folklore music, I mean folk music. As well, you see remnants of this sort of attitude where the lyrics is really what makes a song, and the music itself associated with the lyrics can really be interchangeable, or even if it isn't interchangeable, it is still secondary, and that is, I think, what would be the music. The song itself is the lyrics, and that's why you see some songs, especially translated ones, that just don't look like songs. They're just text, and that also has to do with the way or the role music and song, the role it has in keeping the memory of generations throughout the ages. And in fact, that's what tradition means. Tradition literally just, well, it of course can be used in different contexts, but tradition literally just means something that is translated through diction. That's where the word comes from anyway. And the point is, if something is written down, it is history. And something, if it isn't written down, then it is tradition. But of course, it has other usage, especially in modern day English, obviously, because tradition, history is also tradition, but just it's different. It's used differently anyway. But the point is, music and song is very important in the sharing of a people's culture and stuff like that. But this is also pretty dismissive. The fourth line, fine, sing your song. Let's go with the second one. I don't want to say the fine. You aren't going to kill me? I do not want to, she says. My job is to keep the memory safe, to store the rage. And it's interesting that she's saying specifically about memory, because she said she was memory. So please do sing your song. Oh, and look at that. We have the versicles? What are they called? Verses. Not versicles. Is it versicles? I'm actually not sure what the distinction is. It's the verses. This symbolizes a changing verse, but it's not actually, it doesn't mean that it, I really wish I could do a line break over here, but I can't. That's not what it means, even though sometimes it's used like that. And I say that because sometimes I use it like that. But those are verses. The memory shade begins a long, low keen. I don't know what a keen is. I thought it was an adjective, but apparently it is a noun. I don't know what it is. It is a shrill, discordant tune, and it makes your skin crawl, even more when the other ghosts join in. Everyone's a critic. She sings, we are the forgotten, cold-worn, mist-lost, sickness and rot. We are the fools and prey. They do not see what we have lost. We are the vengeful ones. Our runners fly, barbs must attack. We need but check the scales for ours. We'll take what fate held back. What for? I don't know what that last sentence is. That's not a comma either. We need but check the scales. We'll take what fate held back. And then she's silent. She stares straight ahead. The audience is over. You do remember the song, though. An Okatish secret song. Interesting. It is interesting. I like it. I wish every people were like these. Every area were something like this. Shock rune for magical damage. That is a rune, so it doesn't matter too much. Sorry, my headphones are very loud. For I Anyway, feather charm for speed bonus. That's actually really good. It's really really good. And we have silver coins. Yeah, the way the game treats energy really means that you don't want a character to have to be too much faster than the rest of your team, because otherwise they're going to be the ones that you're going to use energy as, and it's not as great. You want to have a fast team for sure, but just not necessarily. I didn't talk to you again. I'm very sorry. Not necessarily one character be a lot faster than the others. You return to the Shade of Memory. When she levels her icy gaze at you, you shudder uncontrollably. She doesn't want you here anymore. She hisses, "I have taken you in. I have sung my song. I have no more to say." "Well, I wanted to talk to you." Now the Shade looks at you. Her gaze is very cold. "I am the keeper of memory. I stoke the hate of the Ukatish. My centuries have given me power. Do not tempt me. It is still. I said I wish all the other country, or both the other countries, were introduced with song and whatnot. But it is a shame that this one apparently, like, they're self-described as hate, and apparently they're it's like, I feel that this story of theirs would be a lot better if they were part of another country. Like, for example, the Native American countries in the modern day United States and Canada. If you made something analogous to that, because it feels like it is analogous to that, or countries that are victims of neo-colonialism or something to that extent. Maybe that would be a little bit closer to the Ukatish situation right now, although it isn't at all close, because they're not being colonized at all. And I mean, they were colonized by Haven, but they're not right now. But I feel that it would work well for them, and just be like, "Oh, we hate everybody because they treat us as if we don't deserve our own land, or we are not rightful. We don't have the right to be here," or something like that. And then it would be interesting. Although it still wouldn't. I say interesting, but at least it would work. And I'm not sure if interesting is the correct term, because what are you really saying in just mimicking the struggle of real life, or rather the struggle of real world countries? What are you really gaining in that? It's like it's something that fantasy does a lot, to be honest. But I feel it is better to just sort of take the. I don't know, if you're writing fantasy and you're always if you're writing fantasy, if you're writing anything, you're always taking the example of what you learn in real life, and you're always taking if not the exact situations, you're taking the what you learn from the situations that exist and have existed in real life, and in fantasy settings, like I don't know. I was trying to think of Tolkien, because a lot of you probably know about how the whole Lord of the Rings situation exists. I'm trying to think. Tolkien's metatext is he's buried very deep. He was a writer that was very averse to metaphor. So he definitely buried his outlook outlook on the world, buried it relatively deep in the text of the Lord of the Rings. So while you do see a lot of things that are typical of a the 20th century late British Empire citizen, white citizen specifically, and Lord no less, you do see that a lot, of course, in the Lord of the Rings. But you start only like in really metatextual stuff, like, for example, the racial tensions and the importance of blood in the Lord of the Rings. I'm talking specifically. And of course, I mean, The Lord of the Rings and Silmarillion in particular is written very much like a mythology, and it's supposed to be. It's not. It doesn't try to shy away from being a mimicry of a lot of other mythologies. So it's written. You're always going to see parallels there. But what I'm trying to think of is like, I think you write more interesting things if you try to draw on your outlook on life rather than life itself. Like, if you look at, I don't know, the thinking of Tolkien over here, the way uh, the Indians were treated in the early 20th century. If you look at that and you see this is wrong, and you want to write something as a fantasy set in a fantasy setting, something that draws on that. You have so much freedom to write whatever you want. Um, that like you're gonna get such a much better result if you don't actually just mimic the situation and be, oh, there's this big empire that has treated the people of this country as cattle for hundreds of years, and they still do, but they pretend that they don't, and there's a bunch of other things, and some of them don't pretend. It's very complicated. I'm definitely not a scholar in the British Empire, so I can't tell all the details. But what I mean is, you don't need to mimic the situation. But if you do, you should mimic it to the T, because especially if you're not a scholar in whatever you're writing about, you're gonna miss the tales. It's like, I don't know, you're gonna miss the tales because of the dynamics. It's like somebody imagine, I don't know, MLK, for example, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Trying to. I'm immediately thinking of what's that guy that made Heavy Rain? What was the other game that he made? Oh man, I keep forgetting. Oh, Detroit Become Human. Like, that game draws so much on that, but it just misses a lot of the subtext, and not subtext rather, but a lot of the other contextualizing aspects of the life of MLK that are very important to understanding himself as a person, what he fought for, the reasons. I'm talking here specifically about Detroit Become Human, but like, he was if you just pick and choose what you want to take away from real life to put in your game, you're gonna decontextualize it and you're gonna make it not work, is what I'm saying. And when we're talking about the hate towards other people, it just feels hollow. In the most literal sense, it feels hollow, because it doesn't have. It's like it doesn't have the impact. It doesn't have the context, and it just feels like somebody who doesn't understand why in real life it has the impact, and it does have the context, and why people that are victims of I don't know, what's the word? What's the word for people who are moved away from their country? There's a word for it. I'm sorry. I'm blanking on the word right now. But victims who are people who are victims of that sort of losing their home, and it could be through colonialization as well, or just through losing their right for or their nationality for whatever reason. I'm thinking here specifically about the Native American peoples of the all Native American peoples, honestly, because the whole continent has been victim of colonialization. But like, the dynamics at work there are so complicated that the moment you try to draw on it, you need to contextualize it in why it is, because there's a bunch of dynamics there. There's the profit motive, there's racism, there's religion, there's so many things, and it's also the time, the prolonged exposure to those effects also has a real important aspect to play, and it just feels hollow. It's really, really weird. And I can't say that it happened the same with I cannot say that it happened the same with the country to the south, where they have slavery. I can't say that it was a hollow take on slavery. It felt like it's definitely like, it's not bad writing, is what I mean to say. It is not necessarily interesting writing of just people being like, oh, we are very proud, we don't want to call ourselves slaves. Like, if that is how it happens in the setting, then you just have to take it at face value, because the game says it is how it happens, and well, that's it. So when you're criticizing if you criticize that writing, you're really criticizing the choice for the writer to go in that direction. You're not really criticizing the writing itself in the sense that, this is poorly written. You're just saying, yeah, you wrote this and it's not very interesting because, what do you want to say with this stuff? That's also another aspect of it. What do you want to say? Why would you have slaves that don't care about being called slaves? What is that? What is that all about? And if you start digging there, you might get into internalized all manner of prejudices and whatnot. But here in this case, it's just it's literally not in the text. They are, I've been saying that they are friendly. And up until now, it has only been characterized by people from Haven that the Ukatish are hateful people, to put it. It's even used the word hate, which is not a good word to use, just from a common parlance standpoint, because hate is usually, not necessarily in this game, obviously not in this game, but in real life, it is used to talk about people who hate other people, not the victims of hate. It's just weird. Anyway, the point is, this doesn't make sense in the setting, whereas the whole southern country here in the game, it made sense in the setting. It just doesn't make sense from a writing perspective. It's why would you write that? But here it just doesn't make sense. And you also ask, why would you write this? Because it feels like writing. It feels like Detroit Become Human, where they try to write a parallel for the whole civil rights movement in the United States without actually putting in the context and missing a whole lot of other aspects that just make it very, very weird in that particular game. But if you haven't played Detroit Become Human, then you don't know what I'm talking about. But it's just an example that I immediately thought of. Can you influence the Ukatish, I'm going to say? And the memory says, I'm just a presence. Maybe they sense me. Maybe I add to their hate. I can't control it, though. I want your help. I am not your servant. Even if I could, I will never serve you. My whole existence belongs to the Ukat. Okay, go. I wanted to tell you about the Ukatish spirit. Now you need to go. Do not return. And I have a hiccup just as I said that. Well, I think we will be able to go now. Because we got sort of locked out of this. Does this mean that the mission is done? No, we never had a mission here. Do I still need to go back to Jeremiah Bush? What do you mean, Jeremiah Bush Reviewer? Oh. Didn't he tell? I talked to him already. We spent a whole episode talking to him, and I rambled. Of course I did. He told me to do something here. Oh, or not here, but he told me to do something. Let's go there, and because we're going north, or we're exploring the remaining area. But let's go here. Can I move? My God. Oh, it's not here. It's over here. Right. Let's go talk to Bushmille. And it's not down here. Maybe Chief Clive. Yeah, I need to go through the Gannel span or whatever. Chief Ina. Right. Where's Chief Clive? There you are. Interesting. Yep. That is, I need to look into the dialogue to see what he actually required. Although we are eventually going to get to where he wants us to go anyway. There's something here. Look at this. Do I need a dragon to burn that away? Because it feels like that might be the case. You meet a small group of Ukatish swamp runners. They have been out here for a while. They're so crusted with mud and muck that you could almost mistake them for mirelings. Which makes you think that you might have mistaken them for mirelings before you approach them expecting some sort of greeting, and they raise their spears and lunge at you. Well, there it is. We're murdering the native population. Let's go ahead and do that. So this... Is this the first time it happens? I'm trying to think if the Agriel attacked us on sight. They definitely were aggressive. Like they specifically, the game specifically characterizes the Agriel as being responsible for. Oh, I didn't kill you. As being responsible for the forest being mean, and of course, there's all the main people that attack us. But I haven't declared war with them. So I like the implication here is that they're hateful, which is a misread on the situation. Like it's not often brought up in video games, and honestly, it's very complicated to be brought up in video games. But like sometimes I joke about it in when I play role-playing games, of just like, haha, if you attack me first, it's all self-defense. And it's definitely something that the games sort of teach you through their own systems of actually not sending you to prison or something like that if you let's see what I can do here. And you heal yourself. If you don't attack first, you don't get sent to prison. So it's something that the you search the Ukadish looking for orders or identification or some idea why they attacked you. You find nothing but a few coins. So they have their loot pinatas. The thing is, what I was going to say is games train you to think of situations like this as self-defense. However, in this game, more than in others, but in others as well, it isn't self-defense. I am definitely an invader. I am super an invader. Just think of yourself if you go into, I don't know, a military base, unauthorized, and you get attacked either by they trying to kidnap you or detain you, which is just technicalities, the difference there, or trying to arrest you or anything. That's them opening aggression, but you are the invader. You're into a military base and you're not supposed to be there. You're definitely the invader, and you wouldn't say, "Oh, I killed your soldiers. It was all in self-defense." You're not going to say that, obviously. But it's very easy to lose track of that when you're in a video game where you do go everywhere, and you're the Prince of Haven who has enslaved these. Well, not enslaved, but I guess annexed these people, colonized. That's the word. And this is not self-defense. This is like what I just did is actually like I should have been able to sort of if the game wanted me to be able to roleplay somebody who isn't a murderer, I would have had to be able to be like, hey, just arrest me, take me to your leader or something like that. Or in fact, hopefully to make the story interesting, you would be able to do something about this situation right as you entered, and just either announce yourself or be in a situation where a war has been declared on you, which it hasn't been declared on me. This is them being depicted as hateful, but it isn't, because you're an open aggressor. You're their previous conqueror. Them attacking me is self-defense. Them attacking me is their self-defense. So you see how pervasive it is to portray certain things without the proper context. It has unintended consequences. Them being portrayed as hateful just shows that they're not being portrayed as hateful, for one, but the writers trying to portray them as hateful and in programming them to attack me means that it has the precise opposite effect, actually. It's just simply because it's not given a proper context. That's the whole reason. Anyway, I ramble about all the things. I hope you enjoyed it, though. I am Colonel RPG, and this has been Queen's Wish. I really hope you've enjoyed it, as I said, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you next episode. Bye-bye.